Hello and welcome to episode 64 of PauseCast. It is November 23rd, 2017. I am Jessica Alouette and I use she, her pronouns.
And I'm Mark Hanna, I use he, him. Welcome.
This is a show that we do every week together, and we talk about video games, what we've been playing each week, and what we think about the things we've been playing. What have you been playing this week, Mark?
Well, this past fortnight, I've been playing...
Oh yeah, because we haven't done this in 2 weeks because I was, the most sick.
Yeah, it sounded like fun.
Week. Ooh, yeah, no, it was very fun. Let me tell you though, cold medicine kicks my ass. Drives me out, but woof, it makes me really loopy. So I'm better now, thankfully.
That's good.
But it was a rough 4 days.
Yeah, it's never fun.
No, it's really not. Yeah, what have you been playing this fortnight? You gotta tell me.
So, I kept on playing Dying Light the Following with my flatmate, and we finished the story.
Nice.
Have you gone and finished the story as well?
No, I haven't gone and finished the story.
Okay. Do you want me to avoid spoiling it for you?
Yes, please.
Okay, I will avoid spoiling it for you. It's continued to be fun, to say nothing at all about the story, good or bad. I kind of went back a little bit to the old maps just because I felt like my driving skill was the only one that was leveling up. Because you're not climbing around or smacking things as much as you are driving around and running them over.
I mean, I spent a lot of time in the following just kind of like smacking things around just because like it's very, very fun to
and you can totally just
Dying Light.
Get out of your car in a field and smack a million zombies. But it's hard to get a lot of climbing done.
Yeah.
So what I ended up with was my power level was full. And my survival level was full. My agility level was like 5 levels below full. Because I just hadn't been climbing anything at all for the past like 12 hours of game. Which, was fine, but I kind of wanted to max that out as well. So I got it a bit higher now just by going back and spending some time in an old map. But no, it's kept being good. It's kept being like more of the same. I've unlocked things like the remote control stuff in your car. So I can now remotely turn on a like UV safe zone at night, which is pretty sweet. It helps out because it's basically an evade pursuit button when you're getting chased at night. Because if they get close to you, they have to run away even if they're behind you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I also feel like I've gotten powerful enough that I can just kill volatiles kind of easily. Like, it takes like 4 swings of my weapon, it feels like. Which I hadn't expected would ever happen. I thought that they'd like continue scaling up a lot with me, but killing them is doable now. Which I guess makes sense at max level, but like they're still scary.
There's like the mutated ones, which are definitely harder to kill.
I've killed them as well, although they're rarer, so I can't say for sure that I've killed one without running over it a bunch of times.
Right, yeah.
I have to say, running over them does make it a lot easier to kill them.
Yeah, vehicles seem to be like they're a bit of a thing in that DLC. They're very, very powerful and durable,
and fast. No matter how much you upgrade your car, they can run as fast as your car.
They feel really good to drive, and that kind of leads into a thing that I've been playing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you mind if I?
No, go for it.
Do you have other things to talk about as well?
Go for it. This is a good opportunity.
Okay, I'll do one, and then you can do the next one.
Yeah, sure thing.
So last night I had the chance to try out Forza Horizon 3, which is it's an open world racing game that was released for Xbox and PC like last year.
Open world. I thought all of those they were all like racetrack simulators that you were stuck on a track.
Horizon is like an open world like offshoot of that. And the demo is like very substantial. It allowed me to play for about an hour and a half or so.
Wait, was it timed, or was this until you
No. It's just got a certain chunk of the world, and it doesn't save your progress, but you can play it for as long as you wanted. It seems like Forza Horizon 3 has like a really good model for a demo because it means I can like go back to it and try a different car, like make a little bit of progress with that, like just see how everything kind of feels in as much depth and time as I want to invest into it.
So do you pick a car when you start or something?
Yeah, so you get like there's an intro sequence where you drive like a few different types of vehicles through different terrain, and then you get to choose one that like is your primary one.
Okay.
And then start taking that through the open world quite a bit more.
So what sort of types of vehicles are you talking about?
I guess like both your usual like road vehicles, kind of like sedans and sports cars kind of deals. Performance cars like your Lamborghinis and your Ferraris. Buggies.
I kind of didn't expect them to have buggies because and I'm saying this as someone who hasn't played the games, so what I was expecting could obviously be way off. But the way I've always thought of them is in the past, like, high-end race car kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's I a little bit more Need for Speed in approach, where you start out with kind of an ordinary car and you can tune it up as you go and kind of keep upgrading it, and then like work yourself up to like the next tier of car, and eventually you get up to those like high-end race vehicles,
right?
But you start with fairly ordinary ones. But the buggy was very fun. One of the first things you do in that game is you actually race against a Jeep that's being flown underneath a helicopter in this buggy, and you're going through the beach and through the rainforest. It's beautiful. And it's just a profoundly fun sequence to just race behind this vehicle in a chopper.
Like Just Cause style?
Yeah, like a Just Cause style.
So is it like the Jeep is, quote, racing, unquote, but actually it's a helicopter racing and it just has a Jeep beneath it?
Yes, that's basically it. They release it at the end.
That does sound like fun.
Yeah. It was really, really fun. It's really gorgeous to look at.
Yeah, they're all like quite sort of photorealistic in style, aren't they? Those games.
Yeah. I posted a couple photos to my Twitter last night. I'll link that tweet in the show notes. But it is just gorgeous, and I had so much fun with it. It sounds great. It's got a great soundtrack. And like I'm looking for the word and I can't find it, but unreasonable. I'm unreasonably excited about spending more time with that because it is just so much fun. It has a lot of names that it can call you too as the driver.
Oh, like actually in audio?
Yeah, in audio, like it refers to me as Jessica.
Nice.
But I can also make it. I could also make it say like Mr. President or Master Chief. Or like hundreds and hundreds of other names too. Like there's tons of joke ones. There's tons of real ones. It's just great.
I wonder how good that is at getting a spread of names across cultures. That's not too like American.
Yeah, I'd be curious about that as well. I think did Fallout 4 just do like the 100 most common names in the world, something like that?
Maybe I don't remember the specifics. I remember they had some joke ones as well. But I can't recall how well they handled the spread. I think I remember they didn't have my name.
I'd guess. I think Forza Horizon has a few hundred.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a significant amount of these names.
Yeah. Does that each character calls you by name, or do you have like a talking car or something? I don't know how these things work.
I believe each character calls me by name.
Nice, because in Fallout, of course, it was only that one character who would call you by name.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just only Codsworth.
Yeah. Still a cool thing to have in a game, but...
Yeah, sure.
But quite restricted. If you didn't have your little robot butler following you around, you just wouldn't get called by your name.
It's cool to feel like a game is really personalized towards you.
Definitely.
So, what's the next game that you've been playing this week?
So, there's a game that's been on my radar for a while, but I've avoided it because it's in early access, and I try to avoid early access. But it went on sale, and I convinced myself to buy it. it's Dead Cells,
Okay.
which is a very pretty pixel art game. It's Castlevania-esque action platformer.
Yeah.
And it's got a roguelike style where you'll die probably pretty quickly and then start again. The levels are all laid out differently and stuff, but you sort of retain some progress as well in terms of like unlocking items and stuff. Um, and it's so gorgeous. The art in this game is really, really well done. And I've talked about it before. I really like pixel art games. This one is very good at that. The animation in particular is really nice. Often pixel art style is kind of associated with older games where there isn't a lot of like you think of the old Pokemon games or Final Fantasy games. They'd like hop forward and there'd be a slash and going over an enemy kind of thing where they weren't animated that much. Whereas this game has got a lot of really nice animation. It looks like every single weapon is animated differently, which is really cool. So it's kind of not the same depth as Monster, but the same idea. Whereas you pick a different weapon, you're picking a different play style, and you've got two weapons, or you can have shields in the second slot, but I haven't really experimented with those. That are mapped to the left and right mouse button, and then you move and you roll to dodge and try to kill the enemies without getting killed yourself, and make your way over to different areas. The first boss, I can get up to them pretty consistently. I haven't been able to beat them yet. So it's a fairly challenging game. Everything you do, you kind of have to do in one go, because if you die, you get sent back right to the beginning. I don't know if, for example, once I beat the first boss, I might be able to bypass that. I don't know. I'll hopefully beat it at some point and find out. But yeah, it's been really cool. The one weapon they've got is the Spartan Sandal, which makes you do kick enemies like in the movie 300.
Right.
And one of the early levels is the ramparts of this fortress you're in. So you're right up on the top. There's lots of pits to kick them down into and stuff. So you can get some really cool combinations going. I had one where I got a rare item I unlocked, which is a phaser, which lets you teleport behind enemies. And it also had an assassin's blade, which deals extra damage when you backstab them. So those work very well together. And each run, you'll get different items to use, so you got a bit of variety there. And I feel like being able to beat the boss will probably rely on me getting some good items dropping just by chance, as much as it will increasing in skill from just practice of playing the game.
So my question is, I've heard some comparisons between Dead Cells and Dark Souls. Do you reckon they have anything in common besides being, difficult?
So I think one of the things that really defined Dark Souls to me is, and I've only played the first game and I haven't finished it, but it's that once you die, you have a chance to regain your stuff, but only one. There's nothing like that in Dead Cells. There are two resources you earn from killing enemies. One is gold and one is cells. Gold can be used at shops that you'll sometimes run across in the levels to buy items, but cells are used at the end of each level to unlock new items and make them available, or unlock things like a stronger health potion ability. Those are kind of the closest analog to to souls from Dark Souls, but if you die, you lose all of them. Each time you finish a level, you have to spend all you currently have, but if you die before you reach the end of that level, they're gone.
Yeah, so it really is just more of a, it's more of a roguelike than anything.
Yeah,
it's
definitely roguelike.
Makes me wonder why I heard comparisons to Dark Souls at all.
Maybe I haven't tried using the shields yet, but I think they have kind of a parry riposte kind of system that might be similar to Dark Souls, but I'm only guessing at that because I like the bows instead, so I haven't really used the shields. When you start, you're given the option you can pick up a bow or a shield to go along with the sword you just get. Maybe that. Maybe it's some of the art style choices, because I can see how they could have kind of a similar feel to them, even though obviously this is pixel art, whereas Dark Souls is not pixel art. But yeah, I wouldn't have immediately picked that as a comparison, I don't think.
What do you think you would pick as a comparison?
Just trying to think of that now, but I don't play many roguelike games, so it makes it hard to...
Are you familiar with Risk of Rain at all?
Yes, actually. That's a good call.
How similar is that?
I've only played a little bit of Risk of Rain, but the idea of you have dodge and you pick up items as you go kind of stuff, that's similar. Risk of Rain gets a lot more overwhelming with the enemies flooding on you and getting more difficult as it goes on.
It turns into a bit more of a bullet hell, huh?
Yeah, that doesn't happen in Dead Cells. It's sort of you move to this area and there's so many enemies this variety, you will kill all of them and move on. The areas aren't distinct. It's just that you're in the ramparts and there's this tower, and when you jump between the towers, there's different enemies and they might follow you, kind of thing. But it feels kind of chunked like that. There's also it rewards you for going quickly. So at first I was trying to explore everywhere, but then I found out there's timed doors that seal after a certain amount of time. So I've stopped exploring every avenue. I just it's quite interesting because normally I'll want to explore every part of a game, but the levels are randomized. You'll never see them again. If you're too slow, you won't get behind the locked door and get all the goodies there. So it's like every time you hit an intersection, you have to make a real quick decision. Which way do I go? And just go. And only backtrack if you reach a dead end. And eventually you'll hit one of the exits from the level.
Right.
And
sounds pretty neat.
Yeah, it is pretty neat. It's got some sort of gating abilities that you unlock by beating mini bosses, and once you've unlocked those as well, you keep them. So I can make vines grow that I can climb, and I can teleport between certain objects. And using that, I can now reach more areas or get to a different level by going through one of those teleporting things that I couldn't do when I'd first started the game. So I think that's kind of the way where it might speed up progress in later runs. Once I've gotten further in the game and I won't have to play half an hour to get up to where I was before. But I'm kind of guessing at that point, so I haven't got that far. And like I said, it's still early access. Their description in Steam from when they started that is they wanted to double the content in the game. I don't know how far they've come with that so far, but what I'm seeing, what I've played, isn't the final product. I don't know if it's that there's more to add on the end or everywhere or what, but it feels fairly polished from what I've seen.
Yeah, that was another impression of it that I heard, was that it felt very polished. It felt very good to play. And then the just now apparently baffling comparisons to Dark Souls. So,
I mean, I don't think they're completely weird. It's not what I'd have picked, I think.
Right.
I don't know. If others decide they think it's similar to Dark Souls, they probably have more Dark Souls experience to go on than me.
That's fair.
But yeah, Castlevania actually, like I mentioned right at the start when I started describing it, that's something I think I'd compare it to. That's got the action platforming, and it's got the lots of different weapon styles stuff.
Yeah.
Some of the Castlevania games have got lots of different weapon styles, not all of them.
That genre is actually specifically called Metroidvania.
Right. I've never played Metroid games, but it's the same kind of action platforming, is it?
Yeah, it involves kind of this repetition of areas that Castlevania also has. You get new abilities and stuff, and then you can go back to old areas and use those new abilities to unlock new areas.
That definitely happens here.
That's considered one of the pillars of Metroidvania design.
Yeah, so there's no backtracking here, because once you leave an area, you can't go back. But when you die, you're sent back to the start. So that's effectively how that happens.
Okay.
As you progress through a single level, you'll unlock teleporters between various parts of the level. So, if you do have to backtrack a bit, you can, and then it doesn't take a lot of time to go back and forth. But once you leave the level, it's locked to you until you die. You can go back there.
Huh. All right. Shall I move on to my next game?
Please.
So I have been playing Hitman this week.
Sorry,
Uh,
for a brief moment, my brain interpreted that as Ip Man, like the movie.
I've heard the Ip Man movies are actually very good.
They are. But no, you
Um,
haven't been playing Ip Man, you've been playing Hitman.
no, I reckon that would be probably a pretty cool game. I mean, hmm. I wonder if Sleeping Dogs is as close as you could get to an Ip Man game. Anyway, Hitman. Hitman is the game I've been playing this week. That game is still good, as
Nice.
it turns out.
Is there more new content that you've been playing around with?
No, there's not more new content. I've been rerunning some of the early missions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Getting my mastery up because Hitman's best feature's back.
What's that?
All of the those one-shot elusive targets.
Oh, right. Is this the ones you missed? You get a chance at again?
Yeah, the ones you miss, you get a chance at those again. They've all been reactivated on a new schedule. This first one's around for another 5 days from the time of recording. So yeah, that's back. I've been kind of just practicing up on that level so that I can figure out routes and starting points, so that when I go to try and tackle the this first elusive target, I can get him this time.
Right,
Maybe
because
go for a silent assassin as well.
they're in the same levels but populated differently, right?
The elusive targets all have unique paths and stuff. They're not in the same areas as the targets in the main mission.
Mm-hmm. Are the other people in the level the same as in the normal levels, or are they also
I'm
different?
not sure, honestly.
Okay.
I think they might be, like, the targets might be removed from that space.
But like all the guards or audience or whatever it is, other people walking around, are they the same?
Yes, I believe they'll all be in the same place.
Okay, so you can learn all about that stuff as well. You know who's got a disguise or whatever that you can steal. Is that how it works?
Yeah, exactly. I managed to get up to, like, mastery level 13 in Paris, which is where the first elusive target is. So it's got me a few starting points and smuggle locations and stuff like that. So I'm feeling pretty ready to go take that on. It's really exciting that all these things got brought back.
Yeah, because with that sort of one-off content, it might be fine if you tried it and failed, but if you just didn't get a chance to try it, it is nice to get that second chance. And
Yeah,
it still
especially
preserves that
like
one-off
for
flavor.
new owners for the game as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Um, because yeah, like once they did the complete first season and the Game of the Year edition, which just came out earlier this month.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those editions were like designed with new players in mind to throw them into the content, you know? And so now with the elusives being back, it's a good chance for them to experience some of Hitman's like best content.
I wonder how they'll manage that going forward, continuing to
Yeah,
what new players
I've been
access.
thinking about that as well.
Have they given any indication as to what they might do?
No, they haven't. I was kind of thinking that, like, I don't know, as seasons kind of happen, like, we know season 2 of Hitman is coming, and, you know, they're probably going to sell a package with season 1 and season 2, and for new players, having those targets reactivated might be a good way for them to see that stuff again. So, like, they might reactivate it again in the future, but they also just straight up might not.
Hmm. And it sounds like if they do, it'll still only be if you missed it.
Oh yeah, it'll still only be if you missed it. But either way, like, I don't know how they'll handle that reactivation in the future.
Hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, I've been doing that this week. And yeah, Forza.
Nice. So this week, do we have anything in the inbox?
We do.
Oh, cool.
If you want to send stuff to the inbox, you can do that by emailing us pausecastshow@gmail.com, and we'll answer your questions on the air. Twitch chat, if you have any additional questions, feel free to send them in. In the inbox this week, an email from Sammy. And Sammy asks, "Hey, y'all talk a lot about narrative-heavy games, but do you have any favorite games that that maybe have a weaker narrative and rely on their mechanics to keep you engaged? Much love, Sammy." So every racing game ever
FTL
is
Fast
this.
and Light.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one as well. Nuclear Throne is entirely mechanical.
Minecraft.
Minecraft. I mean, there's kind of a story now, but like,
I've never played it with that.
Yeah, it's mostly the mechanics that you go to Minecraft for. I mean, Destiny even is kind of like that.
You're not into the Destiny story?
It's not that I'm not into the Destiny story. It's that it's not like Destiny 1 was not a particularly strong story. But that game itself is very good.
Mm-hmm.
And the universe is very good. So like that's what kind of drives me forward.
Speaking of games without strong stories. No, yeah, sorry, you continue.
Mario was the other thing I was going to say there.
Speaking of games without strong stories, I don't know how I didn't start with this. Monster Hunter.
Ooh, yeah.
That has never been super strong on the story suit for me, but the mechanics are definitely what bring me back to that game time and time again.
That's like it's all mechanics basically, huh?
I mean, like, there is a story, but it's like, yeah, it could just not be there and it'll be fine.
Yeah,
you play the same game.
You can lie to yourself and say that there's a story in Monster Hunter, but there's really not.
The story is just like the reasons for the different urgent quests, but everything else you do is unrelated to it, pretty much.
Yeah.
What else? I'm sure there's more than that. I'm just going to open up my Steam list to see if I can jog my memory on any. Because, yeah, narrative-heavy games are definitely my favorite, but there are some really good ones that just rely entirely on strong mechanics.
Yeah, and like I said, even just like every racing game basically does this. Like, Need for Speed doesn't have good stories, people.
No, it doesn't.
No. Bro, check out this vehicle I got. Give me this pink slip. Yeah.
I remember playing one of the Need for Speed games. I don't even know which one it was now. And I had to keep loading the games to redo the story missions because I didn't win the cars. Because you just had to like pick 2 out of 3 things, and just sometimes you didn't get the car. And it's like, well, that wasn't...
No, yeah, that was Most Wanted, my like favorite Need for Speed.
That was it. That sounds right.
That's my favorite Need for Speed.
Yeah, ooh, I haven't played that many. Kerbal Space Program's another one without a story, but very good mechanics.
Dying Light. That story's not particularly good.
I definitely play it a lot more for the zombies.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun climbing around and driving around now and also smashing zombies.
Yep. I
think I've kind of hit all my big ones. I guess
even like Torchlight falls in, like Torchlight and Diablo probably fall in this camp too. Like,
definitely. I mean, when I first played through the Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, I did pay attention to the story, but I've gone back to Diablo 3 so many times now and just I don't care. Like, you can even jump straight into the adventure mode where it doesn't even have the story.
Yeah.
So, like, first time, yeah, but the thing that draws me back to that game is definitely just the mechanics of it. I think they've actually got a new season now, but I haven't started a new character for it.
I'd say The Evil Within, but no, that story's keeping me hooked at the moment, actually.
I don't think I've got any more handheld games that haven't got really narrative stuff. I don't know where Pokemon sits on that.
Bad. It's got a bad story, if
I
you
mean,
ask
it
me.
does, but okay, yeah, let's include it. I think as the generations have gone on, the Pokemon stories have gotten worse. Like, consistently downhill, in my opinion.
Why have they gone consistently downhill?
Well,
I'd like to know.
I think the problem started when they decided that you could just capture the god of the universe. And, like, all these Pokemon, they can send you back in time and stuff, you can just capture them.
Sure.
I think the world just got kind of messed up. And now they've got, like, different timelines and parallel dimensions and shit. And it's like, that's not what Pokemon was about when I was a kid. Bring me back those days. Like, Silver, I think, is always going to be my Pokemon game. That's, like, I played Red first, but Silver, you could kind of, like, it included the area of the first generation as well after you'd finished the new region. I think that's always going to be the Pokemon game that I remember most fondly. Or, Soul Silver, since I've got the remake as well. But yeah, once they started getting into that weird, hey, these Pokemon are gods, and also there's parallel dimensions, I can't really take it seriously.
I mean, should you be taking Pokemon seriously?
I don't know.
I know. Here's my thing. I know there is a degree to which you expect it to be like internally consistent in its seriousness, I suppose.
I think I try to play Pokemon in a way that kind of reflects the wholesomeness of the anime. That's probably a really weird description, but like I don't think of, oh, I'll build this team to compete against whatever. Like I nickname my Pokemon and I like imagine personalities onto them and stuff, and I try to play it sort of that way. And it leads to me not always finishing the games because I don't grind and face them off against a whole lot of fights to get them really strong. But I don't know, that trying to do that just feels like it conflicts with the whole parallel dimension weirdness, especially since that hasn't been there from the start. Like I've enjoyed games that have those things in their stories before. Like Chrono Cross is based on the idea of jumping between parallel worlds, and I really enjoyed that game. It's not sort of inherently silly. I just feel like it was a bad fit for the world that had been originally created in Pokemon, and now I just feel it's incongruous.
Have I told you about my idea for how the next Pokemon game could and should be designed?
When you say the next, do you mean the Ultra Sun
No,
and Moon,
no.
or
I
after
mean
that?
like the next generation.
I mean, in either case, you haven't. But I just wanted to clarify that too. No,
Pokemon, the next generation. So it's all Star Trek, and you catch all Star Trek characters like Pokemon, and it's Pokemon the next generation. In seriousness, my idea for like the future of Pokemon is focused on solving one kind of core problem. And the problem that I see with Pokemon right now is that it's kind of predictable. And so I kind of want to throw that all out the window. Pokemon is kind of predictable.
Predictable in the sense of you face up against roughly 8 challenges and then the Elite Four, and also there's a side plot of team something.
Predictable in the sense of like there is a rough approximate order to the gyms in that game, which makes it sort of easy to create optimal loadouts, quote unquote, of Pokemon for the early stages of the game.
That's tied in really tightly with the level system, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'm going to solve several design problems all at once. So, like, the idea is to counteract the idea of, like, oh yeah, if you pick this starter, you're guaranteed to just steamroll the first few gyms. And so the idea is to take a central city like Lumiose City, like how you have that city in Pokemon X and Y.
Is that Pokemon Paris?
It's circular. Yeah, it's their Paris. And it's circular, you might notice. And there's different routes extending outwards from it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My idea would be to make that, like, the first place you go is to this, like, central city. Maybe you even start there. And from there, you do the starter stuff, like you get your starter Pokemon, and then it's like, all right, go wild. And you can go in kind of any direction you feel like. The idea would be to scale the game up in terms of levels as you beat each gym.
So the gyms their level would depend on the order in which you beat them.
Correct.
Okay.
So you could theoretically have a level 80 bug gym to go and face off against, something like that.
Wouldn't that also mean that the areas they're in, the wild Pokemon and all the other trainers would have to sort of match that level?
That's what I was thinking. Like, the overall game can gradually kind of scale itself up.
Oh, so everything scales up.
Everything scales.
So you're going to go back home and there's going to be like, where originally they were like, oh, it's a pigeon and a ferret. And now it's like, it's a volcano monster.
I'm not saying like scale. I'm not saying like scale the scale each area as you go into it dynamically. I'm saying like, what if you scaled the first time you went into a new zone? It set itself up to your level scale.
Okay.
And you got to the gym, and that cleared that path, and then you could go back or go along this like bigger circle and go to the next gym.
And if you went back to that area, it'd always be the same kind of level.
Correct.
You'd have to level everything there. You'd have to level all the items that can be found and bought. You'd have.
I mean, that doesn't
be interesting.
That doesn't seem like it would be.
Well, you also have like. I imagine people would then try to decide the optimal route to go to make like rare Pokemon easier to get, because it's easier if this area is that level kind of thing as well.
Ooh.
I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing. I'm just trying to see where this would likely end up.
Yeah, but the idea would be to like also randomize what's at the end of each path. So like in that circle, if there's 8 paths that go outward, right? And they each go to a gym. When you first enter one of those like paths, at the end of that is one gym. The next time you play that game on a new file, you could go down that same path, and it will be a different gym, and it will be a different set of Pokemon each time, making it thusly kind of impossible to create a like optimal route and providing a lot of challenge for players in general, while still maintaining like a level of accessibility for new players, because there's a level of freedom for them. They can go off and explore in whatever direction they want, and they don't have to feel necessarily bound by that. Like, they don't have to go on a path, and they don't have to choose the most optimal Pokemon to do a gym. And then when they reach the gym, it is actually like a significant challenge, because they don't necessarily have the like optimal Pokemon for it. And so it makes the gym challenges more significant. And that's the main problem I wanted to solve with this like idea, was how do you make the gyms actually mean something? Because right now they don't seem to really kind of pose any challenge in Pokemon.
It's almost a shame that Pokemon is tied so tightly to its systems through intergenerational things like the Pokemon Bank. Which means that they can't upset the level system. Because it would be really cool if they could have something that was more similar to the anime, where, Ash and Pikachu have been doing shit for like 50 years and he's still 11 or whatever. But they're not level 100. They still get beat up all the time because he can't win a fight. But maybe that would be kind of neat, though, if it's not just about getting high numbers, if there was more depth to it. But it would be so hard. You'd have to change so many systems. I don't even know how you go about it. I'm just kind of dreaming here.
Yeah, the import of Pokemon from previous generations would definitely make that like an interesting design challenge. I think it's like doable.
I think the only way they'd really be able to do it is by adding new systems on top of it, like they've done with the what were those other systems where you had like cool and beautiful and stuff, and you had a different sort of competition in, I think, third generation. I don't remember what that was called, but it was like a new system.
Oh, it was like a beauty pageant essentially for Pokemon, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
but like it was a new system added on top, which meant anything you traded up, it would just have these new stats added on because they didn't exist before. Nothing got changed; they were just adding stuff. They could do stuff like that, but then that'd be weird if you were trying to do something, add something new that serves the same purpose. It would just be a bit silly. It's probably not a feasible way for them to do what I'm thinking. I should just go and watch the anime again.
I mean, there's probably not a feasible way for them to do what I'm thinking either. Like, this is essentially a whole rework of the Pokemon formula while still maintaining its, like, core structure of, like, yep, there's 8 gyms, and then you can do the Elite Four. But it tries to make it so that it's more open-ended.
Yeah, I think it'll be hard for them to tie in the story the way they've been doing it, but I can certainly see a sort of Colosseum type thing that would work that kind of way.
I wonder if you even need a story for that, though. Like,
I think they always want a story, especially since it's aimed a lot at younger players. Having that sort of story. I mean, even if it is a simple story, it can still be really nice. Having a story helps them tie in the like friendship themes that run throughout all Pokemon games as well.
Yeah, that's true. I'm mostly an outsider to Pokemon. It's kind of weird at this point.
How much of them have you played?
X and Y.
Oh, so you started late.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, I don't know if you knew this, but like a lot of Christians were convinced that Pokemon was of the devil at one point.
That's
and
amazing.
My parents were very much in that camp.
Right. That sounds
because
like not fun.
They're insane. They're like I don't like talking about my parents.
Fair enough. Were there other like pop culture things as well that you missed out on for that kind of reason? That you've only had
there is a lot. There's a lot of shit that I missed out on as like a kid. I'm like I've said before, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like I had a culturally deprived childhood, and the things that a lot of people talk about as like, oh, this was like the culture of, us growing up as kids. That was not an experience that I had. Because it was just like, oh yeah, my parents were just very strict or just weird for religious reasons. And so they limited a lot of my exposure to what we now consider like 90s kid nostalgia.
Yeah, and it's hard to, like, with Pokemon as an example, you kind of probably wouldn't go back to try the first or second generation because they've got like remakes of that and stuff now, right?
Yeah, and like those games don't hold up.
Yeah.
That's the other part.
Nostalgia is such a big part of the value for them, and if you don't have that, they don't have that value to you. Totally.
Which is what, like, I think that's a problem even that I've talked about with Final Fantasy VII, and why I don't think I could go back and play that game nowadays, because I'm not convinced it will hold up, and I don't have the nostalgia for it.
I don't know. I've had people I know play it for the first time well after it was released. Like it's 20 years now, but I'm talking, 15 years after it was released. And let's be honest, it would probably hold up as well now as it did then, and really love it. So it's possible. It might not happen for you, but it is possible.
That's good to know, because like you and Ash are pretty big on it, so
it is really good. If you want a game that's a bit more modern, that's set in that, there is Crisis Core, but I wouldn't recommend playing Final Fantasy VII first for the story, because there is a lot of stuff that Final Fantasy VII assumes you don't know in its story, which you would learn through playing Crisis Core first.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of that stuff as well, like, I think I mentioned offhand earlier that I've been playing a bit of The Evil Within. The original, and it's like a very spooky horror game, and but something that I have learned about it is there's some plot details related to The Evil Within 2 that I knew about, Like, essentially, The Evil Within 2 takes place in this, like, VR space called STEM.
Okay.
And it's the source of a lot of the bad shit that happens in The Evil Within. Is the fact that you're in this twisted kind of VR simulation called STEM.
Can you give me a really quick, like, one sentence overview of the premise of Evil Within 1? Because I've never played it and haven't looked into it because it's horror and I am bad at dealing with horror.
Bad things happen. That's your summary.
Okay. Okay. But, like, is it supernatural bad things? Is it, like...
Yeah, it's supernatural and, like, simulated, like I said. Like,
okay.
It's supposed to be this big reveal late in the game.
Okay.
That you are in virtual reality, essentially. And that none of what you've seen, all of these, like, various horrors, is real. There's some really cool monster design and sound design and stuff in that game, though. Like, and it's really cinematic. I'm playing it in the original 2.35 by 1 or letterboxed widescreen ratio. That game is really, really interesting. I'm only in the first few chapters. So that has apparently colored my experience because Ash has informed me that storytelling starts to get really bad in later chapters, and it starts to become a, like, horror spaghetti.
Horror spaghetti?
It takes a lot of inspiration from a lot of different places,
okay,
and then starts throwing the spaghetti at the wall, and seeing what sticks. It's that is what people mean when they talk about The Evil Within as horror spaghetti. They've mixed a lot of things up and they're throwing it at the wall to see what sticks.
Right, and it doesn't all fit together very well. Or I suppose if you haven't watched that bit
yet. That is the general impression that I get of that first game. Mechanically, it's very fun though, and definitely scary. Really, there's some really phenomenal sound design in that game, and some really fucking freaky. There's some freaky things in that game too. Like, at one point you reach the end of, like, this hallway, and it's a morgue, and you see, like, there's a body in this room, and it's a very tight space, and as you approach it, like, there's a pool of blood that forms on the floor, and this multi-armed screaming beast kind of, like, starts crawling out of the floor.
I'm so glad I don't play horror games.
Yeah, no, it was very spooky, and it makes a horrifying noise. God, I love it.
The only way I could deal with something like that is by doing ridiculous things in game to remind me it's a game, like running into walls and just jumping and trying to look like things from the wrong angle to remind myself, no, it's okay, it expects me to be over there, but look, it's not reacting, kind of deal. Like, you know, like if you're playing Half-Life 2 and you've got those, like, cutscene things where people are talking and you're just around.
Yeah.
But you just go and, like, hide in a box or something. Like, that kind of thing. Like, then I think I could maybe deal with some horror stuff, because I'm just like, this is ridiculous. Obviously, it's a game. But if I get sucked in at all, I'd have nightmares for weeks.
Horror really does a number on you, huh?
Oh, I avoid horror for a reason.
Is it just mostly because you're, like, really prone to nightmares?
Oh, it's not all nightmares, but I mean, that's part of it. But, you know, I think I'm impressionable about that, so I'll get things like and this doesn't happen often, obviously, but if I've been exposed to, like, a horror film or something, then I'll end up, like, afraid of the dark that night kind of thing or something. Like, I feel like I'm pretty impressionable with horror things, so I don't enjoy being afraid. So
I think that's generally games. Like a fair reaction.
Like, I don't begrudge people who enjoy this stuff. It's fine. I just stay clear of it.
I think that, like, I guess my line for horror ends up being a lot higher than I anticipate a lot of the time, because like I do enjoy the tension, and it's hard to actually genuinely scare me.
I will jump at the smallest jump scare. Like,
oh no! I will jump, but like that's not what I would call like actually being scared. You know, I it's like that initial reaction of like oh okay, now I'm back to normal.
no, I've noticed over the past year or so that when I'm watching a film or something, every time someone gets hurt, I don't notice them doing it at the time, except sometimes afterwards. I will, like, whatever part of their body is being hurt, I'll be like clutching it or something. Like, I was watching the new Blade Runner film, and there's one point where someone's hand gets hurt. I won't say the details of it, but I realized afterwards that I was like clutching at my hand and like moving it around and stuff. And it's like, wait, why am I doing that? But I often find myself doing that in scenes like that. And I just like, it gets to me. And sometimes that's good because it means I can really get into a film and enjoy it. But when it's horror, I really get into it, and then it just leaves me uncomfortable for quite a while afterwards.
Yeah. I think that, like, the thing that ends up, like, kind of being the most scary and upsetting to me in any, like, horror or horror adjacent thing is, like, it essentially just boils down to, like, it's prolonged suffering in any way, shape, or form, or, like, really, really focusing on, like, someone else's reaction to a thing that has happened. Especially if that person is, like, close, like, family, friends, that sort of thing. Like, that is what really gets to me in horror, and games are pretty light on that sort of thing, in general. So, like, stuff like Dead Space and stuff, there's not too many, like, close friends or anything that you have to deal with in that, like, in that setting.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of... It's a lot more of, like, violence as horror, I guess.
Yeah.
Where, like, The Walking Dead, especially in its early seasons, they focused quite a bit on some of that in some scenes. Some of the stuff that, like, really gets to me, the, like, suffering angle. And that... It was in those moments that show managed to actually, like, really genuinely get to me.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it was just like, oh yeah, look at zombies, and, you know, we're going to shoot the zombies in the head, and it's going to be a tense situation as we try to get out. But it's moments like like if someone gets bit and they're talking to their family, essentially saying their last words, and, like, there's blood gushing out of them, that sort of thing. Like, that is the horror that gets at me.
Fair enough too.
Sorry if that's a bit graphic for you, but
oh no, I'm fine. I'm trying to think if I've got anything like that as well, but then it's just like, no, all that gets me.
No, it's just like all like violence kind of gets at you. Like,
well, not just that. I find it quite easy to get my head in a story, if that makes sense, I guess. So there are a lot of different story elements that I can really engage with in that kind of way, where it just sort of happens and it can get to me for good or bad. Maybe that's why I enjoy narrative-based stuff so much. I don't know. But I don't think I've got a thing like that which I can say does it a great deal more than some other part, if that makes sense.
Right. It's all just kind of like you're in this level of immersion, and you're in this, like, space.
Yeah. And I mean, what you described, that I can totally see that would get to me as well, but like, that's not the only thing that would get that far, I think, for me.
For sure. One other thing I want to mention too that Evil Within is really good at. It's really good at messing with, like, I know that it's because it's in virtual reality now, and that's kind of like, it's kind of a bummer that was spoiled for me. But also, it's then cool to notice how much the Evil Within actually plays with what your sense of reality is.
How do you mean?
I'll use an example from The Evil Within 2, more
Okay.
specifically. In that game, there are sequences, and I have heard that they're quite frequent, in which behind you, as you look at one part of the game, the rest of the level that you have just been through will silently rearrange itself.
Yeah, I was wondering if that might be one of the things that would come up. Just
Yeah, and then when you look behind you, the entire level has just completely shifted. And there's definitely several parts of The Evil Within #1 which do this exact same thing. They mess with the sense of what is real in that game, and there is a layer of uncertainty that comes with that, and I really like that.
It's the kind of thing like you open a door, you go through it, you see, oh no, this isn't where I want to go. You turn around and it's just an open corridor behind you, kind of thing.
Yep, there's a few things like that.
Yeah.
It's a really cool thing that is very achievable in a video game as well. Like,
yeah, I imagine it's probably quite easy to do. Turn all this stuff off
Yeah.
and turn all that stuff on, but it's got a good effect.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then of course there's sequences like Dishonored 2 and Titanfall 2's time travel sequences that are also like really, really cool examples of just being able to and shift.
Yeah.
Especially Titanfall. That one's really fun. It's like a whole platforming challenge that's connected to like shifting between realities like as you jump.
Yeah, I remember you describing it to me originally. It sounds like it's really neat. Can you remind me, can you see into the other one as you're running around? Because remember in Dishonored 2, you've got like a little window into the other time.
No, you can't really see into this one. It's just kind of you just kind of go between it on instinct, essentially.
So you're jumping blind based on your memory.
Yeah, you're jumping blind based on memory and based on like there's hints in the world at what might be on the other side. So like, for example, there's a room where you there's kind of destroyed remains of a wall on one side and an intact one on the other, and as you shift between the two, a wall will appear or disappear based on the reality that you're in.
Mm-hmm. So
you jump between them and like continue to move through these walls. It's quite cool. It's nothing quite like Dishonored where you actually like can see through into that world. That sequence is really cool, by the way.
Yeah.
God, Dishonored is so good. I've been wanting to pick up Death of the Outsider for a while, and it's on sale. And
is there another sale happening? Because I got an email today. It's like 19 of your Steam wishlist are on sale.
Yeah, the autumn sale has kicked off until the 29th of November.
It's spring.
Yeah, I know. But Steam's running a sale.
They've managed it before. They have. They had a really cool...
I know they have. I remember this happening.
Yeah. They had like the snow globe you could turn upside down. There was a beach on the other side kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was really good. It's like, hey, thanks. You didn't forget about us for once. And then they forgot about us ever since.
Yeah, it's like, hey, do that again.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Like every
please?
time.
Yeah, I want to give Death of the Outsider a go. I just... One, I lack the funds. Two, Forza Horizon's really fucking calling my name right now, dude.
Hey, so it's out, but you've only got the demo? What's the story?
Forza Horizon 3, yeah, it's been out for months and months. Like, it's been out since September of last year.
Right.
I have the demo, and the full game is on sale.
Ah.
Yeah.
What platforms is it on? I don't think I asked.
Xbox One and PC.
Not PlayStation.
Not PlayStation.
What do you have it on?
The Forza series has been kind of an Xbox. It's been an Xbox kind of mainstay.
Right.
And Horizon 3 is the first one that appeared on PC, I believe.
Okay. Have you got it on Xbox or PC?
I got it on PC. I
do you
don't
have an
have
Xbox? You don't have an Xbox.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know
Sorry.
this.
I do know that.
I've got a Wii U and a PS4. And my PC.
Actually, I'm probably gonna get a PS4 soon.
Yeah, that's right, because you got Monster Hunter World.
Well, I will in like 2
Are
months.
going to get it.
Yeah.
I saw the cover for that, like the mock-up cover for that in EB Games yesterday. It looks, or sorry, today even. It looks bad. I don't like that physical box art. It's bad.
I don't care. Not, I don't care your opinion. I don't care what it looks like.
No. I'm a collector, so like I care that it looks bad.
I've been thinking as well, like, you might know the answer to this. I have finished Horizon Zero Dawn on my flatmate's PlayStation. If I buy a PlayStation and I want to play the expansion to it, and I'm assuming that it relies on an existing save, it might not, I don't know, I haven't checked. Is there a way to like pull my saves across typically on a PlayStation?
Yeah, there is actually. Like if you have PlayStation Plus, you can just upload your saves to the cloud. I think you can also transfer them onto a hard drive.
Okay, because I would avoid paying for PlayStation Plus until I'm actually going to be playing Monster Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, I have a 3-month card that's still good.
Yeah, but it's 2 months till Monster Hunter comes out, and I'd only be using it for this one transfer.
I think there's a 14-day trial that you can also get. So
okay, maybe that'll be it. Okay, but it's good to know then that there will be a way if that's the way I go about it.
Yeah, there's definitely a way. Me and Ash, because we have 2 PlayStation 4s in the house, she'll frequently be playing in the living room, and then when I want to play on the PlayStation, she'll go to her room and upload her save before she does.
Okay,
so
sweet.
She just like continues playing from the exact same location she left off.
Cool. I was worried that it might not have something like that because I know that it's got like you bind your account to like the main PlayStation you play on and stuff. I didn't know if it might have some weirdness with that.
Nope.
Wait.
All right. Shall we wrap up?
Sure.
What are you looking forward to playing this week?
I think I'm probably going to play more of Dead Cells. I don't know if I'm going to play a huge bunch, but it's fun that I can just go through for like 10 minutes until I die, and I'll probably get closer to unlocking something. And I have, in the few hours I've played on it so far, felt like I'm improving with it, which is nice. I'm sure that will tail off because, you'll get your most improvement right at the start as you're getting used to stuff. But it's kind of a cool feeling. It's been interesting playing a fast-paced game and making myself not explore everything. I've been surprised at how little difficulty I had with deciding I need to switch to that mode. I think the fact that, you'll never see the level again and it's randomized each time makes that a lot easier. Sort of, hey, once you die, you're losing a bunch of stuff regardless. So don't worry about what you didn't explore. I'll probably play a bunch of that. I think I'll play more of The Sims just because it's kind of become my podcast game and I've been listening to more of the Adventure Zone, catching up on it. I don't feel like I'll get back into the following. I feel like having finished the story is kind of turned into a stopping point for me. So I'm sure I'll continue return to that game again at some point. But for now, I think that's kind of I've done that bit of it, if that makes sense.
It does. And hey, at least New Game Plus exists if you ever want to go back to it properly.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
Then as for myself...
Yeah, I was about to ask, sorry, but you went quiet. What are you looking forward to playing this week?
The Evil Within. And, of course, Forza Horizon 3. Like, I'm probably going to sink a few more hours into that demo tonight. It's just phenomenal.
So you're going to pick up the full version, you think?
Probably. if I can get enough money together for it in time.
How much is it on sale?
54 New Zealand dollars.
Still pretty expensive, eh?
Yeah, but like basically it's like my immediate impression is, like, it will be one of my favorite racing games of all time. Like, unquestionably. It's really polished.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds amazing. It's got a great soundtrack. It sounds just phenomenal. It's fun to actually play. It's got a lot of customization. It's got a big world. It's set in Australia.
Oh, cool. I assumed it would be set in America.
No, it's set in Australia. It's around Byron Bay and Surfer's Paradise, if you are familiar with either of those locations.
A little bit.
I've been to Surfer's Paradise. It's quite beautiful.
Yeah, same, but not for a long time.
Yeah, I last went, God, it'd be 5 years ago now at this point, huh?
It would have been like 15-ish for me.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's even longer, huh?
Or more, yeah. I was a kid.
Yeah, I last went when we first moved over to New Zealand. We spent a couple weeks in Australia because our stuff wasn't going to be here. Like that was it. Like we had our stuff shipped over on a boat, right?
Yeah, so it takes a little longer than a plane.
Yeah, so we a couple weeks in advance, we were staying with our grandparents. We made the flight. We stayed with our grandparents for a couple nights, said hi and stuff, and then we went to Australia for a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
We toured all the way down the coast. It was really,
nice.
It was a great trip. I remember seeing cockatoos outside my hotel room window, just sitting out on the patio, and there were just cockatoos.
I remember seeing a freaking huntsman spider on the wall at the place we were staying. That was
absolutely not.
Yeah. I probably remember it being bigger than it was, because, I was smaller, but still, I remember it being pretty big.
Yeah, Ash is, I think, I'm going to try not to put words in her mouth, but I'm pretty sure she's grateful that spiders aren't a thing here.
Certainly not to the same extent. They don't eat our birds.
Hi.
What's that?
Are you grateful that spiders aren't really a thing here?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't put words in her mouth, she just confirmed it.
Spiders are from hell.
Quote, spiders are from hell. That's going to do it for us this week on PauseCast, a show entirely and unquestionably about video games 100% of the time, and not spiders. Thank you for listening. Fuck you if you're a spider.
Jumping spiders are really cute.
Okay, jumping spiders are pretty cute. Yeah, I'll give you that. Fuck you if you're a huntsman. Huntsmen suck. If you liked what you heard and would like to support this show, you can do so by going to patreon.com/PauseCastShow or bit.ly/PauseCast. Thank you to our patrons who support us every month. We have support from Sammy, Mary, Allerdrain, Noah Holmes, Residoke, Ash Yee, Laminated Moth, and PD. Thank you so much for your continuing support of the show. It means a lot. Again, if you want to support us, bit.ly/PauseCast or patreon.com/PauseCastShow. We're on Twitter as well, at PauseCast Show. If you want to follow us there, we'll tweet about streams and new episodes as they are released. We're on iTunes. If you're listening on iTunes, maybe give us a rating or review. Yeah. Let's see.
I'm worried you're either going to forget or bury your plug.
Am I going to? Yeah, that's a good point.
Remember to share that thing. It's cool.
Yep. True. Why don't I go? I'll go for you. Where are you online?
No, we'll do your thing first. I don't want to bury it anymore.
No.
Okay.
Where are you online?
I'm on Twitter at HonestUniverse, and I write a blog as well, but not about video games, at honestuniverse.com. Now you.
And you have a plug as well, actually.
A few weeks old.
Yeah.
I recently published a guide to the Official Information Act. So if you're in New Zealand and you want to ask the government for information, you can find it at oia.nz.
Yep. And then as for myself, you can find me online at bird.school. And you can find me here on Twitch, live.bird.school. I stream a few times a week. My schedule is on the channel, so feel free to check that out. And as well, you can find some of my writing is going up on the spin-off. That's the spinoff.co.nz. I have a piece coming up this weekend at some point. It's going to be about Hitman. It's going to be about mastery of space in Hitman. And it's going to be about the elusive targets and what makes them so cool. So if you're interested in that, or just want to support my work, feel free to go check that out. Again, probably sometime this weekend. I have to send it off to my editor tonight. And
also there was last weekend.
Yep, that's right. There's also another piece that I wrote, and it's a 2,000-word interview that I did with the corporate VP of Minecraft at Microsoft. And we talked pretty extensively about Minecraft and education, where the future of like Mojang and Minecraft is, and yeah, it's a really interesting interview. It's my first piece of published work at all, or I should be clear, my first piece of non-self-published work, and it also means that. Job. Yeah, and it also means that 100% of this podcast has been published on the spin-off at some point or another.
Yeah, I've had a piece of job there before, yeah.
Yeah, I have another couple potentially in the works. I had a piece about photo modes that I wrote like ages ago that's getting republished by them.
Which I think is a really cool piece, so I'm glad about that.
Yeah, I'm giving it another editing and writing pass because I read it again recently. There's a few things that I feel like I could do better.
Sure thing. It's always the way when you look at something you made a while ago.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I'm going to give that another pass, and that article will be republished on the spin-off. That's really exciting. I'm a real games journal.
You should put the link to the one that's up in the show notes.
I will make sure that links to stuff that's up is in the show notes for sure. Right. Thank you as well. We have one last thank you before we close out the show. Thank you to Leon for the use of our theme song, Honey Milk Island. Honey Milk Island and other tracks are available on Leon's SoundCloud. You can go listen to them there. That is soundcloud.com/LEYAWN. And that is the end of PauseCast episode 64. Thank you so much to everyone who's listened in on Twitch, or if you've listened in on the podcast. We really appreciate it. Until next week, see ya.
Bye.